This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. So with the holidays behind us, we've got a stack of gift cards laying around.
You do?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Very popular gift. I don't know if people were just lazy this year or just I'm too hard to shop for. But one of them they gave us was a Starbucks gift card. And I'm not a big Starbucks guy only because I'm not a coffee drinker.
Okay.
But I was going to take our daughter Caroline to go get a little treat. She got done with cheerleading practice. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find said gift card. Come to find out, my wife decided it was now her gift card. So what's your take on the gift cards for holiday gifts?
You know, I feel, so my side of the family, we have adopted that the gift card thing, especially with the adults, right? You know, as you buy for the kids and the grandkids and things like that, they need a present. I feel like you got to do that. But I would have like a brother-in-law or my sister or something like that. And so we all just kind of agreed, like, just gift card, especially if you have a dude, if you got a guy and you're buying for it, just give them the gift card. Yeah. If they like to read or coffee. And I'm the same way. I went to Starbucks with Landry yesterday. And I was like, I'm going to pay with my app. And I look at it and I was like, oh, shoot, I hadn't, I still had the other one, the $10 gift card. I hadn't combined it up, how you can merge those things. But so gift cards, I think that's the respectful way. You don't get this, oh, thanks, you shouldn't have, on the gift.
It's a shirt that doesn't fit. Oh,
right.
Great.
Like
size medium since 8th grade. Thank you.
Yeah. So just get the gift card and just be like, thank you, and you enjoy your gift card because you can go pick exactly what you want.
But you have to be careful with those gift cards too, because it's estimated that there are $23 billion in unused gift cards. God. And as we just talked about, Starbucks, $1 billion of that is just exactly what you just said. I've got $1.25 on this one. I've got 75 cents left on that one. And that's just free money for Starbucks. So let's kind of talk about how you serve the community and how this also relates to gift cards, because those gift cards represent money just sitting there doing nothing. So when people come in for retirement planning, where is the most common place you find this lazy money, this dead money, Brandon?
Lazy money. I would say there's two areas. So that would be at the banks, okay, with checking and savings accounts, and then bond funds. Okay, if you might have it in your 401k or your investment brokerage accounts, bond funds, okay? So this, before I get into that lazy money, let me tell you a funny story about my dad. So I grew up on a farm, right, in the upstate of South Carolina here. So we would go, and I'd know that when Dad would have workers at the farm, at the chicken houses or supposed to be working the cows or something, we might have gone home for lunch, or maybe we were around the backside of the chicken house. And so as we come around, a lot of times I could just hear him, start complaining about, like, look at this sorry worker, right? He would call them sorry workers. They were sorry, if they were lazy, they were just sorry, and we'd pull up to him and like, hey, get back to work, right? They're sitting in their truck or they're on their phone. Of course, this is back before you had the apps and all this, but they might be talking on their phone or something, but or maybe even sleeping, worst case. They're being sorry. They're being lazy, right? And what did my dad do? He said, hey, this is your only warning, right? If I catch you again, just being sorry over here, I'm fired. You're gone. Don't come back. It's your choice. You can't put up with sorry workers and lazy workers on a farm, much less any normal job. You listening, if you've managed people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see somebody like it, it's hurting the company, and it's the quicker you can get them out of there and get somebody in there that's productive, the better. Same thing with your money. Okay, same thing with your money. As soon as we can identify, are there some areas that are being lazy, that are just dragging you down? Maybe you've got other, investments and positions that are doing great, but then when you look at the whole portfolio, you're kind of mediocre because you got all this lazy money. Back to what I was saying, banks. So at the bank, when people come in, you pick up the phone, you call or text the office. Let me give that number real quick, 843-890-2400. When you call or text and you come in, I would bet that probably 40 to 50% of the time people come in and I identify lazy money. Okay. And I'm talking about lazy money, Mark, in the tune of about $200,000 to $300,000. Because here's what's happened is you might have sold something, okay, or inherited something, and you've just not known what to do with it. And you're apologizing, you're embarrassed. You're like, Brandon, I know. Don't beat me up. It's just good that I'm in here, right?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Now, I say we want to have about maybe 3 months of expenses, and that's it. Let's put 3 months of expenses in your emergency fund there at the checking and savings, because don't get that confused with liquidity. Okay. We can have plenty of liquidity in an investment portfolio. Okay. So if you're just saying, well, Brandon, in 6 months, I want to be able to get at some money. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I only need like 3 days. If I need to sell something, 3 days, the trades have settled to cash. And then on day 4, I'm direct depositing it back to your bank. So if you can just give me a week heads up, you've got the liquidity that you need. Okay. So let's put it to work. So don't think you got to, keep it in the bank if you need it in 6 months or 3 months or something. Okay. Let's have enough, maybe 3 months of your expenses of what you need. Now, if you need a new roof or air conditioning, or if you need a new vehicle, whatever, that's a different story. So let's identify the lazy money that you might have in your bank. Now, arguably, money market and CDs could be lazy money, okay, depending on what rate you're getting. Okay, so we can talk about that. So that's at the bank. The second area that I mentioned was in your investment portfolio. There could be lazy money in your portfolio. Now, that could be your 401k. It could be, a brokerage account, a trust account, any investment portfolio, because what I would call lazy money right there would be bond funds. Okay, so bond ETFs, maybe bond mutual funds, things like that. Because I can show you, if we were to pull a chart up, like for example, I would say like AGG, the ticker symbol AGG, that's Barclays Aggregate Bond Fund. That thing has averaged about 1% per year for the past 10 years. And there's almost $100 billion in that fund. Yeah, so, it's averaging like 1%. Yes, there are some dividends that come in, but still very minimal. And if it's in an investment portfolio, you're probably paying an advisor fee of 1 to 1.5, 2%, whatever. So think about that. The fee that you're paying is completely eating up all of your return. That's why it's lazy. It's not doing anything for you. If anything, it might even be losing money, okay?
And a lot of people don't recognize this.
They don't recognize it. They just think if you're in a target date fund, okay, maybe a 2025 or a 2030 target date fund. A lot of 401ks have these target date retirement dates. If you're a federal employee, you've got these life cycle funds is what they're called. So these target date funds. And so the closer you get to your targeted date of retirement, it goes more and more defensive, or I should say more and more lazy. Okay. Because it's going to put more and more percentages in these bond funds that are, and by their design, they're trying to make it more defensive to plan for and be prepared for a crash, which that's good. But I would argue that there's just better ways to be defensive.
What's your overall take on TDFs, the target date funds? Are you a fan of them?
No, I would say, if you're trying to do it yourself, I guess that's okay. I would rather you do that than just be completely reckless, and just go all S&P 500 if you're heading towards retirement. But of course, I would say don't do it yourself. Don't do it on your own. Let me come alongside you and bring value here. And so what I would do if you were in a target date fund and they come in, I would say, let's build our own custom designed target date fund. Mm-hmm. And Mark, that is a great question, because what we would do is we would utilize, some growth ETFs or stock ETFs for our growth position. But then instead of using those lazy positions, we would look and find, okay, are there better solutions out there in the marketplace? Okay. That's the value that I bring, is you now have someone that can represent you, go out and start shopping this stuff around and find, okay, where have the best improvements, in these financial spaces? Where have there been some great adjustments there as far as like, how can we keep our money defensive? Mm-hmm. What if we could have like very, very low or no fees on this defensive money? Okay. That's great. The second thing is, what if we could find something that should average around 5 to 7% per year and be defensive? Right? That's why I say these bond funds and money markets and CDs, they can't compete with some of these new, low or no risk strategies that are averaging 5 to 7%. Okay. So now picture this. What we have is, Your at-risk money, okay, that's historically been performing very, very well. The stock market's been doing great. So you've got that money. We try to put you in the best position to succeed, in those equity and growth positions. But then if you have your defensive low or no risk money, if it's also growing at an average of maybe 5 to 7% per year, then that's just going to help your overall portfolio just perform so much better. You're not dragging all this dead weight, this lazy money around here, because you've got enough. You've got 3 months emergency funds sitting at the bank, and now you've put the rest to work. You fired that lazy money. Now the rest of your portfolio is working for your benefit, for your purposes that you need, which are now income and defensive investments.
Okay, so Brandon, somebody's listening this weekend and they like what you say and they may not even realize I may have a lot of lazy money in my portfolio. How can you help us out?
Yeah, it's with our full-blown second opinion, okay? Full-blown second opinion. And so what it is it's a second set of eyes to take a look at everything that you're doing, okay? And so all you need to do is grab your phone, shoot us a quick text or maybe even a phone call. The number is 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. Tanya, my assistant, she is standing by right now to talk to you or respond to your text. But what I want you to do is bring in all your statements. If you have a 401k at work or several old 401ks getting all dusty and stale, bring all that stuff in. If you have a brokerage account or if you have an investment account with an investment advisor, bring everything in. Bank statement, especially if you have 6 figures of money sitting lazy, there at the bank. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you see, okay, this position right here is lazy. Yes, I want you to work with me, but if you don't work with me, at least fire that position. Okay. Get rid of that thing, because here's why I recommend it. That's dragging you down here. This is really hurting. We can analyze, okay, are they lazy? Also the fees, I hadn't really got into that, but there could be, money that is just, it might be performing okay, but you're paying tremendous amount of fees with that position. And so we could potentially reduce those fees, on some of those positions and then continue to pursue growth, right? So that's what I want to offer for you right now listening is if you think you might have some lazy money sitting around, maybe you don't. But let's find out. Bring in all of your statements, and we'll have the second opinion. If you've saved $500,000 or more and know that it's past time that you have a second opinion on what you're doing, pick up the phone right now. We're going to provide this second opinion to the next 5 listeners who call or text.
Again, that number is 843-890-2400. All it's going to cost you is the time it takes to make the phone call or the text right now. 843-890-2400. We're always available at bowenwealth.com. So the end goal, Brandon, is for us to have a comfortable, successful retirement.
Yes.
To do the things that we've always wanted to do. To have those moments and those experiences that we've been dreaming about our entire working life. There was a Go Banking Rates article that listed some of these big ticket items that retirees take advantage of. This includes going to buy that big house, going to buy those expensive retirement cars, vacation homes, lavish vacations, those bucket list trips. How do you prioritize what's most important when somebody retires?
So this is something, if you've listened to my show for any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about how I want you to not have regrets.
Yeah.
Right? Retirement regrets. And so what that would be is not taking that big vacation and someone passes away, a spouse passes away, or your health deteriorates and now you can't. So hear me, is I want you to be able to do these things. But what I find is people come in, we put a plan together or we start talking about it. And it's almost like they are scared to tell me, everything that they want to do in retirement. Okay. And let me tell you about some clients of mine. They came in, they've been clients for a long time. I'm trying to remember how many years ago they became clients, but they were back when they were 62. He was a federal employee and she was a state employee. So they came in, we started putting their plan together. They both had nice Social Security benefits that we looked at, strategizing how to maximize that Social Security benefit and a couple pensions. Right. So we had a pension decision to make for both of them. So Social Security, pension, and about $600,000 in their tax deferred accounts. So it was a really good situation here, a good setup here. And, it was almost like I could build this plan with, half my brain tied behind as Rush would say, right? With half my brain tied behind my back. Right. I could build this plan here because they had, nice income. They had a nice retirement accounts there for us to look at. Everything was paid off. So it was really easy, and so we kind of finished and they were like, they kind of looking at each other and I could tell there's something they wanted to say. And they were like, okay, can we tell you, we have an idea. We have something that we want to do. And it's almost like, they were scared. They were, like, I don't know. And I don't want you to feel like you have to cheat on your financial advisor, right? Or cheat on this plan, right? I don't want that. So I want you to be able to spend with confidence and spend freely, but let's put it inside the plan, what you want to do. And they said, Brandon, we have always wanted an RV. We want to get an RV and we want to travel America. We want to travel this great state, hit the road. We're gone. They
want to do that magnetic thing on the back of the RV where they put a state on each one that they visited.
Yeah. I've seen the tumblers or whatever, like a Stanley, a koozie, and it's all the state parks.
Yep.
You can get the stickers for that. And so that's what we want to do. I was like, I love it. Number one, because they're finally being honest with me,
right?
And I was like, okay. Well, brush me up on what are the going rates for, RVs. There's, you can spend $2 million on these things, but what kind are we thinking? Fifth wheel, whatever. And so they gave us the number. They said, okay, we're down to these two, right? It was, like a $75,000, $100,000, right? So this was sizable. Right? Or do we finance it? Okay. So all these decisions, and I was like, okay, now it's time to put a plan together because we got to start thinking about where do we pull this money from? When do we pull it? Based on taxes, right? Because they still had, a bit of most of that current year they had been working. So I was like, okay, can we wait till January 1st? At least before we, start pulling out and doing some of these taxable distributions from the portfolio, right? So we wanted to think through that and what kind of taxes are we going to pay on this money? Can we grab some from our brokerage account? What do we have in the bank? So all of these things went into play here in this plan. And so let me fast forward a little bit. Well, they go on this trip, okay? And I've mentioned this before on the show. They go out there. They're in Yellowstone, which I've heard from numerous clients is the hands down the best state park to go visit.
Yep.
FYI.
Stay out of the hot springs though.
That's right.
They put warning signs everywhere.
Have you been there?
I have not. My brother is a park ranger, and he's been there before.
Oh, okay.
And he said one of the biggest problems they have, sorry, not to sidetrack here, but he said one of the biggest problems they have is people see these hot springs and like, oh, let's go put our feet in. No, it's scalding hot. It will bubble up. It will give you third-degree burns.
Oh, my gosh.
Listen, influencers, there's a reason there's a sign that says stay out of the hot springs.
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. So they go on this trip and they're there and these Indians are carving and painting these rocks and these stones. So they get one, they pay for one, bring it back. And so when we had an annual meeting, once they were finally back, they pulled that out, sat it on the table, and they said, Brandon, we bought this for you because when we were out there, we were just so appreciative that you helped this become a reality.
Oh, that's cool.
You gave us permission to spend our money with confidence. Okay. No, you don't need permission to spend your own money, but when we have this plan in place, you can spend it with confidence. You know that you're not like, having to keep it a secret from your spouse or from your advisor, whatever, right? You're confidently taking these trips, or buying I love nice cars. I've got one. It's like, so I want you to do the things that you've been putting off your whole life because, hey, you got to be responsible and you got to plan for retirement. So if it is a car, or something, now I think there's smart ways to do that, of course. And the travel, those things, because what you're doing is you're building that legacy. You're building that legacy for, you and your spouse, for the grandkids, especially the travel, doing these, Disney cruises or Disney trips or going to Europe or whatever, the big ticket item. What if you could bring everybody with you?
My mom did that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Took all the sons and all the grandkids and wives, took us all to Disney.
and they're gonna remember that.
Yeah. And she also told us that's pretty much our inheritance, but we had a great time.
That's so fun. So I remember, yes, I was in, it was before I got glasses. So it had to be before 6th grade, but my mom's dad took us to Disney. And I remember because I couldn't really see anything,
right.
I was like, I needed glasses at the time, but I still remember that trip. I remember going, at Epcot and I'm like, God, that ball up there, look at that thing. It's huge. I can even see it, and we're walking around. And so you remember those things. And that's, again, that's your legacy that you are doing. And so I want you to not have those rocking chair regrets that you didn't make this big purchase.
That's right.
Or this big spend. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, this can all be within your grasp here. And the way that we do this is with our retirement blueprint. It's a full-blown second opinion on what you're doing. We start with that to help you understand what you have, how it's working for you, where might there be some improvements. But then we quickly transition to like, okay, here is a suitable retirement plan, one that you have not had the pleasure of enjoying yet. You've been probably working with just a growth advisor, someone who's not really focusing on this retirement plan, this income plan. And that's what this blueprint does, is it helps us maximize, okay, where are we going to pull our income from? What do we do with Social Security? If you haven't started or filed for your Social Security, or if one of you has and the other one hasn't, that means I really want to talk to you, because there's all kind of different strategies now that are available to you. So we look at how can we potentially maximize that Social Security benefit. If you have a pension decision, a lot of people, that's going away, more and more people, but you might have a decision. Do you want to take a lump sum out of this pension and roll it to an IRA? Or is that income that they're offering with that pension, is that, too good to pass up? And the only way you know that is to have this blueprint and this second opinion here, because I can show you, I can shop it around and say, okay, if you were to roll it out, here's what we could do for you. And then you can compare that to what they're offering, and you might go, heck yeah, I'm going to take your offer, Brandon, because that's like going to the open market. There's capitalism at its finest, right? And we can find the best return income-wise for that money. So once you have that income plan in place, this blueprint also, I can show you ways that we can start reducing your risk, okay, in the stock market. We're at these all-time highs, and we are just waiting for the needed correction. Okay. Trump heading in here, you might be the biggest Trump fan, but, the markets are different and they are super, super bloated and overvalued right now, largely this AI bubble that we have here. So please hear me now. I want to help you put some guardrails up on your money, because a market crash could be the one thing that wrecks your plan. So reducing our market risk. And then the third thing that this blueprint is going to do is help you look at tax efficient strategies. Okay, where do we pull our money? What tax statuses do we have? You might have a lot of tax deferred money, and we need to start looking at Roth conversions, because if they, extend these tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts, if those get extended here quickly, then that gives us a little more time to do some Roth conversions. So we need to be looking at that. How can we proactively start paying some taxes now while they are historically very, very low? So we need to look at a tax plan, because that's for your benefit and for your legacy. So that's what this retirement blueprint does. So if you've saved $500,000 or more and are age 55 or above, it's time. It is time to get this retirement blueprint in place here. We'll analyze everything you're doing and look at potential better strategies for you to implement. So pick up the phone. My assistant, Tanya, is standing by right now. You can call her or text her. The number's 843-890-2400. Again, 843-890-2400 for your own custom-designed blueprint.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency, and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.